Alistair, hello.
Hello, Sam. Happy 20th anniversary in 1 week.
Happy 20th anniversary, 1 week and 1 day.
And 1 day. How are you doing, my darling?
I'm good. I do feel slightly embarrassed that we missed the anniversary last week. This amazing plan we have for this week has followed through, but a week late.
It's a great plan, though, isn't it? It's banging. What a guest.
I know, it's so fun. We do have, as you'll have seen titled, a little guest this week. So a little bit of history for Wholala, long-time listeners. We did our first ever episode of Wholala reviewing Rose, the episode Rose from 2005. And we thought, what better time than 1 week after the anniversary to look back on this episode. But we didn't want to do it alone. We didn't want to.
Oh, no. No, we don't do it by ourselves. It'd be embarrassing. No. We've already done that. We've done it once. We're doing it again.
We already have.
Now, Rose aired on the 26th of March, 2005, just over 20 years ago. It was written by Russell T Davies. It was directed by Keith Bowick, and it had a viewership of 9.9 million viewers, and it currently holds an IMDb score of 7.5 out of 10.
It does. That kind of gagged me. I thought it would be more.
It should be more. Make it more.
Make it more. Now, normally we would give you a little recap of the story, but I feel like it's such an iconic episode, you must have seen it. If you've not seen it and you're listening to this, who the bloomin' egg are you? Go on iPlayer, have a look online. It is available online to watch. But we did want to dive into some of your thoughts on the episode before we introduce our special guest.
Yes, we did. Tom over on X said, vaguely remember being sat down with my parents at the age of 4 to watch. Didn't realise how much I'd still love it. The age of 4?
That is mad. But it's funny, like I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, I started during Gridlock or something. And I'm like, Gridlock, not Rose. And they're like, well, I was 3. And I'm like, oh, okay,
I see, I'm an old man. I understand now.
Lucy said on Blue Sky, it's wild. After seeing some classics, it was Rose that kickstarted my love of Doctor Who. I know this ep is not traditionally rated well, but it's too iconic to dislike in any way. Also, to celebrate 20 years of New Who, I got a TARDIS hat. And they sent over a photo of a TARDIS tattoo on their arm, and it is amazing. It's such a great tattoo. And what a fun way to commemorate the anniversary.
It's very detailed.
It's very detailed. I really like the lamp on top.
Small Raccoon Hands said, in America, the show premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel, and with no knowledge of what was happening, my dad sat my tiny self down and said, I think you'll like this. He had no idea of the obsession that would be born. I
feel like that's true for a lot of parents who introduce their kids to Doctor Who and they suddenly realise, oh, this is going to be something. This is going to be something.
It's something about the parents, isn't it? It's always the parents who are just like, oh my God, Doctor Who's back. This is massive.
Kenny Koala said, I was 8 when Rose was first broadcast. I remember my mum, parents again, there you go. I remember my mum buying the Radio Times, which had a mini guide to the series, and I immediately became obsessed, even asking to cancel my 9th birthday meal out and eat in instead, as it clashed with the broadcast of the Doctor dances. I still love watching the series today.
Love. Oh, not the 9th birthday meal out. Not that. You can't cancel that.
You can't cancel that.
You can't. Nancy said, I was on holiday when the first couple of episodes aired, so I didn't see Rose until weeks into Series 1. Luckily, my friend had taped the original broadcast onto VHS. 2005, eh? VHS!
Oh my God. My parents used it. So after The Unquiet Dead was so uber scary, my parents would record onto VHS and watch it to make sure that it was like, okay, for me, if they thought it'd be scary. So I remember they saw Slovene in the Radio Times. They were like, we don't know about this one, so I recorded it. And then let me watch it from VHS. So I was a VHS kid too.
I love it.
And finally, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Vidgetchi on Blue Sky said, Rose did receive massive compensation in the form of space-time travel. I found the mannequins so scary. That's how I knew I was hooked. Loved the Britishness of it all. Binged all the episodes afterward that I could get my hands on.
She's had genuine shock and trauma. She's entitled to compensation.
And I know she is Greek, but that's not the point.
I know she is Greek, but that's not the point. Oh boy.
So
I mean, impossible to even just wrap up kind of what our thoughts are on this episode. I watched it again a couple of days ago just to go back through it. And it's hard to even just like consume it as a piece of television and not just as like an old friend you're revisiting, because you just know it, like beat by beat, scene by scene. You kind of know every moment. And the more weird thing is just like how I think as the years go by, it doesn't match your memory of it anymore. There are like moments in it where I'm like, God, the camera works a bit, ooh, the effects are a bit, oh, that's not how I remember it being, Yeah. Or like, oh, it is a little more crunchy in the standard definition than I thought it was. And like, wow, Billie Piper looks really young in this, and there's all these things that slightly shift, but it's hard to even like comment on because it's just such a memorable piece of your life.
I know. To me, I get the same feeling as looking back on like a family photo album of like memories that I almost feel like I was there for because it's so ingrained into like the zeitgeist and like who I am and what I remember, that it like you said, it does feel like revisiting an old friend. But I'm sure we'll get a few actual memories of the time from our guest.
Oh, we will. Time to introduce our guest. I think we've been keeping him quietly sat in the corner.
Exactly. We are so excited to have a very special guest with us today, who featured in the very first episode of Doctor Who's Revival way back in 2005. You may have seen them since in shows like Brookside or Holby City, or on stage in one of their many performances from Peter Pan to Boom Bangabang. He also runs the Adam James Academy, shaping the next generation of talent. Please welcome to the pod the incredible Adam McCoy.
Woo!
Hello.
Oh my God. I think you're the first Doctor Who actor we've ever had on the show.
Really?
That's so exciting.
Oh, that is brilliant. And you've got Clive's son.
Clive's son.
As seen on screen.
Yay.
There's going to be at least once in this episode we're like, do the line, do the roar.
That is so funny.
Oh my God, we sent out a post asking people to send you questions, and the amount of people that got back to us asking us to recreate one of your nutter lines, Dad's one of your nutters, was insane.
Well, do you know what? We may have to recreate if people have asked for it.
I think we have to.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Who gets to be Rose? Who gets to be Billie Piper? Oh, how are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on. It's very fortuitous that you have now. It's 20 years since Rose originally aired. And for anyone who might not know, do you want to let us know which character you played in that episode?
Yes. So I played Clive's son. And I remember at the time being like really angry that they hadn't named him. I was like, why am I just Clive's son? Like, why do I not have a name? But now I kind of love that I'm Clive's son.
Yeah.
Ambiguous. If you were going to give your character a name, what would it be?
I don't think I could possibly even go into that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Billy after Billie Piper.
Oh, that eats.
Billy with a Y.
Or Piper. Maybe he's called Piper.
Piper. Billy with the Y or Piper. I like that. One of the two.
I think Billy. We'll go with Billy.
I think Billy makes so much sense. I think I
It
must have
does.
hallucinated this because I started to believe that he was called Adam, and obviously that's just your name.
Love that.
So either or.
Yeah.
Convince yourself. We're all just going to start making up names for your character. No, but even as a viewer, like 20 years since the episode came out, so that's what, 21 years since you filmed it. That's insane.
Yeah. I remember we filmed it it was definitely summertime when we filmed it. Summer 2004, because we filmed in Cardiff. And it was just really, I remember it being really sunny. And yeah, I mean, 2004, how old was I? Well, I would have been,
A wee litlin.
I was like 13.
Okay, yeah.
13.
That's mad. Was that your first acting job or had you acted before?
No, I'd acted before, and interestingly, I'd worked twice before with Keith Boak, who directed this episode.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of like I don't know. I did quite a lot of TV when I was a young kid. I was really lucky to do some really brilliant things. But yeah, Doctor Who was something I did. I think that was like my third job working with Keith. And I haven't actually worked with him since. I wonder how he's doing. If he's listening, hello. I hope you're okay.
Hey, Keith. I'm sure he's tuning in.
Yeah.
How did the audition come about? Were you part of any like acting clubs, acting schools around that time?
Yeah, so I went to a local drama class when I was like I think I was about 5 years old, and I really wanted to go. We got these leaflets in school, and I remember coming out and showing my mum being like, I really want to go to this. Because when I was younger, I used to just literally sit at home and like watch The Wizard of Oz on repeat.
Sounds like someone else
Poppins.
I know.
Yeah. So I kind of had that like theatre bug, and then I went along to a class, and then I just loved it so much that I just wanted to do more and more of it. So my mum and dad sent me along to this like other class that kind of did more like performance-based stuff, because I just was like really itching to get on stage and do it. So it kind of went from there really, and then I got like an audition for a Liverpool-based TV show called Brookside, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And that was my first acting job. And I did that for about 5 years. So I started off doing like a soap, which was like, really great experience. And I think, obviously now you see so many amazing child actors and stuff, but like going back to when I was like really young, I think the reason why I like went on to do like TV job after TV job is because a lot of the time people just wanted a kid who'd had experience on a TV set before, so they knew that they could cope with it all and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of started out. I was really lucky that I got to do it, but I loved it. I absolutely lived and breathed it. And, I worked really hard whenever I got like an audition or a script through, and, getting an audition through for something, I was always like, right, I've got to like knuckle down and do it. But I didn't actually audition for Doctor Who because I've worked with Keith. I think he knew that this was like a really like, it was going to be huge.
Wow.
So he kind of was just like, and because I was literally one line, it wasn't like,
Yeah.
He called me up and he just said, would you like to come and do this like small part in this new version of Doctor Who?
Mm.
And up to that point, I was familiar with Doctor Who because of UK TV Gold, if you remember that channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'd watched like the old Doctor Who, like the Tom Baker and just like the scarf. And I was like kind of like obsessed with it a little bit. Not obsessed to the point where I would like religiously watch it, but if it was on, I remember it'd be on around tea time. And, it would be on TV while I was like eating my dinner, and I'd just be a bit fixated on it, like the Daleks and I think I kind of loved how like crap it looked.
Completely.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. It kind of crept into the zeitgeist of British culture in a way, because no matter whether you're an active viewer of the show or not, everybody knows somebody who is. So somebody's mum loves the show, or somebody's dad or brother or whatever. And so it has been a part of the British culture for what seems like forever. And I myself have a lot of fond memories of watching the old reruns on Gold.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because so many people, ourselves included, started watching the show when it came back with this revival in 2005, which you were obviously a part of. But it is interesting that you knew the show before coming to it, because for so many people, ourselves included, the revival of the show was our introduction to it.
Yeah. I think him saying that and, offering it and stuff, it was my mum and dad's reaction. They were like, first of all, they were like astounded it was coming back. They were like, wow, this is going to be like huge. Like, I can't believe it's coming back. Like, this is like, it's one of the biggest TV shows ever. Like, we watched it growing up. And then I remember they were also, it's weird because when you're a young person and you obviously get offered like these like brilliant opportunities and stuff, like seeing your like parents' reaction to like, I don't know, like people who are in it or whatever, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so I guess this is a big deal. And I think the beauty of doing it when you're a kid is that pressure is off a little bit. But I remember them being so like, wow, it's Christopher Eccleston who's going to be playing the Doctor. Whereas I was just like, Christopher Eccleston, do you mean let's focus on Billie Piper for a minute?
Yeah.
Like, because of course I knew her as the pop star.
Yeah.
Like, well, oh my God. I was like, oh wow, Billie Piper.
Really was like the Britney Spears of the UK.
Yeah. The one you got to act with.
Literally. Yeah, of course. Thank God that I got to do a scene with Billie Piper, because she was, to transition into talking about Billie Piper, literally I can remember our conversations. I can remember everything about her.
Oh.
She was, oh my God, what an unreal. She was a princess. She was like everything.
I just knew it. I knew it.
She was a gay boy's dream.
She is a gay boy's dream. This is the thing that people don't realize, I think, about Billie Piper Series 1, is that for me as a little boy, like, love Christopher Eccleston, but Christopher Eccleston wasn't the role model for me. Billie Piper was the role model. It was Rose I wanted to be. And that's never changed either. Like, she's always been the icon to me.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that she is that warm off camera too.
Honestly, she was so lovely. She made the experience so just nice. On the rap party, I literally remember her sitting with me and my mum and just, like in a room full of people. And obviously, she's like the star of the show. She chose to sit with the little teenage boy who had one line and his mum. Do you know what I mean? Like, that says it all as well, doesn't it? But she was really lovely. I just remember being So, like, oh my
Oh.
God, she's amazing.
That makes us very happy.
But yeah, I think it's so interesting that you just said that, because I think the thing about the episode, Rose, and I won't lie, when I knew that I was coming on to do this podcast, I was like, I better rewatch the episode because it's been so long
Yeah.
since I watched it. So I fast forwarded through it, and I did find it really interesting that the character of Rose is, she makes this big bold move to like leave her life behind and go with him. She is more heroic in a way, because Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, and this is another thing, like hats off to him, there's a real vulnerability about him. He wasn't like, you're like, I'm gonna save the day. Like, that bit where he's looking into the like big orange lava room.
Yeah.
And he's literally nearly on the brink of tears, and it's just like...
And then it's Rose that comes in that moment. He's sort of like captured by the two shop mannequins and he can't do anything. And then Billie Piper, it's so iconic. I love watching this bit. She comes in, she's like, I've got no A-levels, no GCSEs, no nothing, but I do have the junior gymnastics. And she does that big like swing and a kick. And it truly is, I think, watching, especially like I said before, she's a little gay boy's dream, where all of these like kids watching the show was watching this woman lead the show in a way that I don't think had in majority been led in classic Who, like taking the forefront and being the heroine, and also having that vulnerability. Like you see in Billie's performance that she has like the fierce fieriness and she has the soft tenderness, and it just connected with like a generation of kids.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really nice for probably like little boys who were obsessed with, Doctor Who, to see the guy being emotional and needing the help of a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
100%.
And it was so normal for us, I think, growing up as well. I think it's so nice that we had like quality TV like that to grow up with, where it was completely ordinary that was the relationship as well with the Doctor and the companion. Yeah, it's funny. You keep saying, oh, it's just my one line. It's my one line. But I don't think you realize like how iconic your one line is, and like how recognizable you are from that show.
That is so nice. Thank you.
Like as soon as you came on, I was like, oh my God, Clive's son. Like you're so recognizable to me, because we'll have seen that episode. I mean, honestly, like not hundreds. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but many times over the years. And I think every current Who fan will have seen your face and remember your line.
Bless.
So you're very much a part of New Who history.
Well, do you know what? I'm gonna remember that.
You should.
And I'm gonna lead with, even if you've got one line.
If you've got
It's
one
what
line.
you do with your one line.
Exactly.
One line and two scenes. Two scenes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the scenes at the end, don't forget.
Well, I've got this theory, right? This is my way of... I'm going to pitch now to Russell T Davies. Is he still writing the show?
Yeah, still right.
Yeah. I think we should bring Clive's son back.
You know what? We were saying
You heard
this
it here
before.
first.
I said, Sam, Clive's son doesn't die on screen, does he? And he's like, no.
Exactly.
Ran away with mum.
Ran away
So
with mum.
you're out there somewhere.
He would want to know, his dad, Mark Benton, gets shot by those dummies.
I know.
So, we need to avenge Dad's death, really.
Well, have you heard of this company called Big Finish?
No.
So basically, there's a company that do Doctor Who audio dramas where there are these stories that they're never going to do on screen. So they do them in like audio drama form. And Mark Benton's actually come back. He's revived his role as Clive from a parallel world. And he's joined the audio series with Billie Piper. So there's an alternate version of Clive in these audio dramas. So I definitely think there is room for you in the extended Whoniverse. I think bring you back.
Yeah. You heard it here first, guys.
100%.
I mean,
Let's
otherwise,
get this.
I'll have you in the main series. I think unit spin-off, avenging Clive, protecting the universe. Let's do it.
Well, I could come in as like, a shooty love interest.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
please.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
We want to
really
see
would.
it. It really would.
It's important to me.
Clive's son comes back and falls in love with the now new morphed version of the Doctor.
I've got the pitch. So Clive's son, you're trying to avenge your dad. You've seen him shot by this shop window dummy, which also we'll get into because that sounds traumatizing even to act. But you're trying to avenge. You're hunting his dad has all those pictures and stuff on the wall in his shed. You've got your shed. You finally find the Doctor. You're going to enact your revenge, and then you fall in love.
That is perfect.
There you
Can't
go.
follow through.
Your episode right
because you
there.
fancy him.
can't follow through because you fancy him, exactly.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful television. Series 3,
God.
Doctor Who, here we go.
Let's go.
Oh my god, wow, can you
Oh my
imagine?
god.
I'm imagining.
But honestly, though, tell us about filming, because, like, obviously you've got the scene in the house with your infamous line, but you do have that scene in the shopping centre where all the dummies are coming to life. Like, how was that to film?
Right, so that was, out of everything that I did when I was younger, that shoot was probably the closest I've ever felt to being on like a real, like, you know, Hollywood film set, because there was so much going on. I think Keith had been like, right, we know this is the big comeback of Doctor Who, and he's directing this episode, and I think he saw it as a chance to just make it an absolute feast. So like all of that, you know, I just remember there was literally sugar glass absolutely everywhere because the dummies were having to like smash through the windows. And the dummies, I remember there was just headpieces everywhere, headpieces and hands of the dummies. I think I tried them on, actually. I think I tried one of the dummy headpieces on. And the performers inside them were absolutely amazing. So they were like dancers, and then the people who were in the children dummies were like actors who were, you know, like small, that they were actors with dwarfism, and they were inside these costumes, and the way they moved, I was just sat like mesmerized by, they were like experimenting with how the dummies would move, so that there would just be like dummies walking around like almost like doing the robot. Then we were in this shopping centre in Cardiff that was made to look like London.
Yeah.
So there was like tube station signs like on this street. At one point, I don't know whether this made the edit, but there was like talk of like a dummy throwing a burning sofa from the top of the building that we were in.
Now, this is interesting because this is infamous. There's this rumour about what happened during season 1. Or series 1, sorry. It's called the burning sofa incident, and no one really knows what that means. So there was a rumor that someone almost got hit by a burning sofa, and there is one single image online of a sofa on fire, and no one knows what that means or what happened. So I guess they tried, and it didn't. I guess it didn't go well.
So I've just alluded to maybe the burning sofa theory being an actual thing.
You've just confirmed the burning sofa theory.
Well, as far as I'm aware, I don't think anybody was injured by the burning sofa. I think I remember vaguely people being like, oh my God, it's crazy. Like they're talking about this. I think it was just a case of being like, do we do it? Do we not? It's a bit much. Like, how do we actually do it? I think it was all a bit crazy because it was all being filmed in the shopping centre that was being shut down. So we were on like a time constraint as well.
Yeah.
It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning when this was all happening.
I was going to say, because it'd have been a night shoot, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And at that point, they said, what would be good now is let's get a dummy to throw a sofa that's on fire. Let's just try and squeeze that in now. We've got an hour left. Just an easy shot to round off.
Yeah, maybe that is exactly what happens. Let's just finish with setting a sofa on fire and
then we'll wrap there. Thanks, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I remember on the night shoot there was this classic clip that has kind of like haunted me to this day.
Oh God.
That like all of my friends and family just laugh at, because I think it's after Mark Clive has been shot, everything turns into a frenzy and we're all just running for our lives from these shop window dummies. And I just remember like we filmed that take a few times, and each time it was just like, I'm going to be even more scared this time. Like I'm going to be, and I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to be absolutely terrified. And like Ellie, who was playing my mum, I remember she had to like swing me around because we were trying to get away. And now if you go on to that clip, you will see I just pull it's almost comedic because it's just, I don't know whether that's just because it's me, but I just look genuinely terrified. And Camille Kadori, who plays Jackie Tyler, is coming down the escalator as it happens. And I just remember that being, I think that was like my final shot of the whole shoot.
You're just being
And I
swung
just thought,
around the
right,
shopping centre.
Yeah.
I was like, right, yeah, let's go for it. It's the last take. I'm going to just do it. And it obviously ended up in it. And now it's just hilarious.
I love it.
I mean, it's homing into the craft. I mean, if I was a kid and suddenly all these shop window dummies started coming to life and shot my dad in front of me, I probably would be screaming for my life as well. So
You're not going to be cool
Exactly.
about it. You're not going to be cool about it.
Yeah.
Did Camille have to keep coming down the lift every time you were being swung around? Or was this happening separately?
She did. And I just
Did she?
remember her. She was great as well because my mum chaperoned me.
Yeah.
Because obviously I was only 13. So you obviously have to have like a responsible adult with you. And her and my mum, obviously my mum's a Scouser and Camille is like, you know, a Londoner. But they got on like House on Fire. They were kind of really similar, but like the northern and southern version of one another. Apart from the fact that Camille's like an actress. But I just remember my mum and her getting on so well. So she was lovely as well. She was really, really nice.
Oh, she
I'm really
seems
pleased to
super
hear that.
lovely. There's this queer cabaret called the Gallifrey Cabaret, which runs all across the country, which is a drag performance of Doctor Who acts. And at the Christmas London show, loads of the Bad Wolf team, like Russell and that, came and they brought Camille with them. And there was a drag queen who was doing a performance. I'm not sure. Have you seen the episode where a Christmas tree comes to life and is like spinning
Yes.
around and that? So there was a drag act of Jackie Tyler having that happen. And we were in the audience watching Camille watching this drag queen do herself with this Christmas tree spinning around. It was just the most surreal thing ever. And then she, you know, they at the end, they sort of gave the mic to Russell and was doing a little bit. And then Camille sort of grabbed the mic and went, "A little boy came up to me and said, 'Are you my mummy?' And I said, 'No, bitch, I'm mother.'" And we just lost it. It was so good.
How iconic.
It was
It's one of the best
amazing.
moments of my life. It's one of the best moments of my
She's
life.
brilliant. It's just so nice to see her. Like, I don't know if you've watched Big Boys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's just brilliant. She's such a brilliant actress. I love her.
Yeah. She's
a
such a patriarch. She just plays mother roles so well. I know, obviously, joking like
Yeah.
she's mother, but like she is like she plays these motherly roles so, especially in Big Boys, really, really connected with me. And it's so. I just have this funny image now of her going up and down the escalator in between every right. Reset the dummies. Reset
Right.
the dummies.
Back up, Camille. Back up, please.
Yeah,
Um,
get back up there.
Adam, obviously you were quite young when you filmed this. You were 13, right? Ish. And what was the reaction like at school when you were in shows? How do people react to that? Do they react to that?
Yeah. And, you know, it's one of those things where you get, you know, kids can be really evil to one another. And I had like some really close friends who were like, you know, really supportive and stuff. But then you would have people shouting your lines at you in the corridor in like a really like mocking way. So you have to kind of like build that thick skin and be like, do you know what? Like, it's just take it on the chin, blah, blah, blah. But people did used to like mimic my line at me quite a lot from Doctor Who.
Really.
That's a shame.
But not that I didn't love it.
Listen,
You're like, you
if
know
they're
what?
talking about you, they're talking about
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
You're still thinking about me, aren't you?
It is hard. I mean, as a kid, like kids are just little shit sometimes, and it's just. I'm
Horrible.
glad, and I hope anyway that at least now, after all that, that like you can look back on the role, and like Alistair said, like so many people just like get a kick out of your character and that whole scene, that episode, and like not to like deep it, but it is the episode that brought the show back. So there's a real like poignancy, I guess, in like being involved in that story.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, you know, school is school, isn't it? I mean, I always think now, I work with a lot of young people now, and I just think, God, school is such a hard place for, you've got egos, you've got people trying to like, you know, find themselves and be this idea of whoever they want to be. And you put that into, you know, it's a melting pot of absolute personalities. And when I'm working with young people now, I'm just like, I don't envy you being on that journey.
Not at
But
all.
that aside, obviously there's a huge community of people who are massive fans of the show. So that was obviously amazing to be a part of something that was, you know, so big. And
Yeah.
obviously, you know, I think as well, being part of a show that, you know, I'm sure you guys won't mind me saying this as well, but like a show that the queer community like really identify with, people who are just, you know, I think anyone who could identify as a bit of an underdog really identifies with Doctor Who, because it's that, you know, I don't know what it is about it, but it's that world of just, you know, acceptance almost. And
Yeah.
I've got a little cousin, Michael, who is, you know, he's grown up watching me do all of these things, but, you know, any TV show that I did when I was younger, he became like the number one fan of.
Oh.
But that especially with Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to the point where I remember like following on from Rose, he would then, it was like religiously watching it every single week.
Yeah.
We'd go on holiday together and stuff, and he'd have like Cybermen, Daleks, like any figure. He had Rose Tyler.
Yeah.
And then I remember one Christmas, I remember my mum saying to Michael, "What do you want me to get you for Christmas?" And he said, because my mum's called Sandra, he wanted my mum to buy him the figure of Cassandra.
Oh, yes.
Because their names sounded similar.
Cassandra from Sandra.
Yeah, exactly. So Michael wanted a Cassandra from his Auntie Sandra, but Auntie Sandra didn't have a clue where
that
she was
was.
going to find Cassandra. Or like she's like, oh my God, he picked the most obscure figure
Yeah.
for my mum to find. So I just remember my mum being on this wild goose chase around Liverpool city centre shops, asking people, "Have you got Cassandra?" To which they were just like, "What? Are you okay?" Like, do you know what I mean?
There's someone running around being like, Cassandra! And running around like, screaming the name. Oh my God.
She was.
That's so funny. It's a shame you didn't get an action figure. I'm sorry that you didn't get one. They were churning out quite a lot back then, and Sam would know because Sam was an
that
action
kid.
figure kid. He was.
Did you have
he-
all the
He
figures?
was Michael.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Oh, if only I did. If only I did. I probably didn't have as much as your cousin, but they
Oh,
definitely.
bless.
I was known to have a Dalek or two. And I definitely
two.
was that kid. Or two. I definitely was the kid on the phone to my aunt where she was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was like, "Okay, so I want a Cyberman figure, but I don't want the one with the gun on its arm because I have the one with the gun on its arm. So I want the one without that." And again, she was just there like, "Right, okay."
Right.
Going into a frenzy. Oh, well, you mentioned that you work with kids. So you've obviously started up the Adam James Academy. Tell us, how did that come about?
Well, I graduated from drama school and I was auditioning for bits and bobs, and my kind of in-between job had always been working with like young people and doing some teaching and acting classes and musical theatre. And then I kind of just, I'd moved back up north to do some work up here, and I took over this class in like a local gym, and they were like, "Oh, we'll market this class for you. What do you want to call it?" And they kind of suggested me making it into like my own little academy. So it kind of grew from being like a weekly class that I was teaching. And now I teach there every week because I live here in Liverpool, and it's great. It's so much fun. And if I ever do any acting work, my sister will jump on board and cover the classes for me. So it's great.
Oh, that's
love
amazing.
that.
It feels really full circle because, like you were saying before, you sort of got into it because you were that kid, like watching The Wizard of Oz over and over again on TV. And then you did The Wizard of Oz last year with the Academy, didn't they?
Yes, we did.
Full circle moment.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really nice because, you know, it's that thing of like, you often have parents say like, "Oh, like their confidence has grown so much." And I just think it's that power of the arts. And I think it is such a shame that, like, you know, you look in the news recently of how much music and drama is being cut from syllabuses in state schools. And you think, you know, if I can offer some sort of, you know, affordable training for kids outside of school, then I am really happy to do that. So it's a passion project for me.
I love that. I really, really love that. Are there lessons that, you know, you're able to give those students, those kids who come? Are you able to give them lessons that you wish you'd had when you were starting out as well? Like you said, around, building confidence too.
Yeah, I think so. I think like a lot of them come just for the fun and the, getting out of the house and, as I said, building confidence. But then there are a few of my students who I teach who really want to do it and like, want to get into working and stuff. I've just had two of my students who are going to go and do their BTEC national diploma in acting and musical theatre. And they've been with me for years and years and years. So it feels really nice to see them get a foot on the ladder. And it's really nice. It's lovely.
It really is like sort of like steering the next generation of young actors going forwards. And you're doing this as well, like you said, on top of all of the jobs that you're also doing at the moment. Like I was going to say, I'm so glad that your sister's there to cover, because juggling all of that must get insane.
Yeah. I like to keep busy though. I'm one of those people who is just like, what can we do next? And
on the go.
And if anyone who is listening, who is, maybe a young person thinking about going into the profession, it isn't an easy profession to go into at all. And it does always help to find something that you can do to sustain yourself, through, but also something that feeds your soul creatively, rather than waiting for opportunities to come. Because it's such a hard profession.
Yeah.
I always joke that I had a better career when I was a kid.
But even like you were saying, when you were saying that about like wanting to be busy on the grind, it does sound like that's just been like a thoroughfare through your entire life. Like from childhood, you were just wanting to like keep busy, go to the next thing, moving like up and up the ladder.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I don't know, as we're like, in modern day, I think we've started to think about how our brains work a little bit more. And I always think when I was a kid, I just think I always needed an outlet and something to focus on. And I was really lucky that my mum and dad, I'm from a working class background, and they worked really hard to send me to classes to keep me busy. But I think they were really happy that I had something that I loved and was passionate about. But, thinking about it now, I look back and think, where do I sit on that, the whole neurodiversity debate of like, the spectrum of where you are. And I do think that I'm either 100% go, or absolutely burnt out.
Yeah.
So
What are
it
the
is
other
interesting.
spectrum,
Yeah. But I did, as I said, I am lucky to have done like some really great things when I was younger. And I think maybe from that, I've always been like, right, what are we doing next? Like, what can we do? What can we turn our hand to?
I think it's one of those things when you have a creative outlet, and I think you're a creative person, though, it never feels. For me, you can get very immersed in something and burn yourself out a long time before you realize that you've got there. But I think it's so great to have a creative outlet. I think some people have a natural calling towards singing and dancing that just wasn't there for me.
You guys are like, you've done so many episodes of this podcast now.
God, haven't we?
Yeah, but that is, that is an absolute feat in itself. You wouldn't be where you are now if you weren't. You guys are so engaging, and everyone, I'm sure, loves tuning in. So you've definitely found your calling. You found your calling.
I was just confused. It was podcasting all along.
If you had followed dancing, you'd have never gotten into podcasting, which is clearly what
exactly that. If I'd gone professional, I'd never have made Wholala. So thank God.
Exactly.
Right? There you go. The universe went the way it did.
It went the way it did. But I just think everyone's got their thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, Adam, as well, because obviously you've done so much TV, but you've also done a lot of like on-stage stuff as well. What are some of your like favorite memories from performing on stage?
Well, interestingly, I did a play with Jonathan Harvey, who he told me a funny story once where somebody came up to him and told him, "Oh, Jonathan, I loved Queer as Folk," which is, of course, was written by Russell T Davies. So I think someone was just confusing the gay TV writers. But I did one of Jonathan's plays just before we went into lockdown, actually, and I loved that because it was in a really small studio theatre in London, and it was just so much fun. The cast were amazing, and it was a play that I'd always wanted to do, so that was great. I played Peter Pan for a company called Crossroads, who they do the big London Palladium panto.
Yeah.
But they did a production of Peter Pan in my hometown of Liverpool,
Amazing.
and that was a real highlight for me because I got to work with some lovely cast members and fly around the Liverpool Empire in my hometown. On I don't know how many feet up in the air it was, but I literally started the show like above the proscenium arch, and
my
it was
God.
absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah, but I ended up loving it. That was great. I'm trying to think of other on stage stuff.
Have we mentioned Scouse Dick Whittington yet?
Okay, so this needs explanation.
Yeah.
So there is a brilliant theatre in Liverpool called the Royal Court Theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really popular in the city because it is such a unique theatrical experience for its audience. So all of the shows that you will see on there have a link in their themes to the city of Liverpool. So at Christmas time, they put on pantomimes, but they scousify them.
Obsessed.
So this
So
year,
funny.
it is a Scouse Christmas Carol, which is a bit different because normally it's a panto story. So in the past they've done, Scouse Cinderella and Scouse Dick Whittington.
Scream.
Last year it was Scouse Red Riding Hood. So if you're ever in Liverpool at Christmas...
Oh, we will be coming up for
Oh,
it.
we're there.
Brilliant.
2025 Christmas plans are sorted immediately.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's so funny. How was that? Because you did the 2023 one, right? That was Dick Whittington.
Yes, I did that one in 2023 in Liverpool, and it's just so much fun because it's just comedy, music, and pantomime.
Yeah.
For my partner's family are all from Essex, so they come down to Liverpool to watch the show. And obviously with it being so niche to Liverpool, I was like, are they going to get half of these jokes and stuff? And they were like, we don't care because it is just hilarious regardless.
Yeah.
So it's just comedy. There's a live band on stage. It's filled with 80s power ballads and, every decade under the sun, actually, come to think of it. When we did Scouse Dick Whittington, we managed to reenact the guys who sing Vienna. It's kind of a bit of a Doctor Who-esque music video, really. It's very 80s atmospheric. There's a
Very
horse.
synth.
There's smoke machines. There's trench coats and trilbies.
That sounds so funny. I remember I was reading that you said that was the performance where you corpse the most. Corpsing, right? Where you laugh.
It's very kind of like all the rules are out the window with that one. The audience kind of want to watch you do that, which, when you go and see a panto, it's just a panto. Everyone wants to have a laugh. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's kind of. But there's many members of the cast in that show who are they're just funny boned people.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. But if you're ever in Liverpool, give me a shout and you can come along.
We will be now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be coming for it.
It's quite camp as well. It's quite camp.
Well, then
This is
we're in for a
what
good time.
apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You've already sold it.
In the one that just went, we did Scouse Red Riding Hood, and I feel like Doctor Who fans would love it actually because we ended up going to the moon on a rocket because
This is so good.
because we had to paint the moon because the wolf was a werewolf, and we had to paint the moon so that the werewolves wouldn't.
Love.
It was written by Russell T Davies, as you can tell.
Absolutely, yeah, no. He's
It
he's working on the 2025 script right now.
Yeah.
Right now, he's hard at work on that. That's why there's no
Oh
Doctor
my
Who Christmas
God.
special this year. He's working too hard on the next
He's
Scouse edition.
He's doing Scouse Christmas Carol.
Booked in
It
place.
is Scouse Christmas Carol.
Do you know what? We were talking just before we started recording, and you mentioned, so we were asking you about what episode we'd watched recently.
Yes.
And you were talking about Christmas Doctor episode and that being the most recent one you'd watched, wasn't it?
Because I'm obsessed with Shirley Ballas, and Shirley Ballas is in it.
It was such a mad episode. How does it feel watching, do you, if you watch that compared to, Rose, which, we were saying, 20 years difference, does it feel like the same show when you watch? Do you feel like, oh, yeah, that was the show that I was on?
No, not at all. I think at the time, this is what we have to remember, and it's so fitting, isn't it, that we're here for the 20th anniversary and stuff, but at the time, those visual effects, Like, I remember sitting down to watch it in my living room and being like, oh, this is like, the credits rolled and like, Rose wakes up in that pink bedroom and she's working in the department store and the department store blows up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now we look at that and we think probably like, wow, we probably look at it now similarly to how we looked at the I said before how rubbish it looked. Maybe in 20 years time we'll be looking at this Christmas episode and being like, oh my God, look at that. But when I watched the Christmas episode this year, it's cinematic and it's so like the sequences, it's such high production value, isn't it?
Yeah. It's mad.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing budget.
It is balmy thinking it's the same show that was on black and white in the 60s, came back in the noughties, coming on now, because it's such a different show. It keeps regenerating into something new every time it comes back on. But you said earlier before we started recording that you had a funny story about the newer series.
Yes, I got an audition through to play one of the Beatles.
Scream.
And I feel like as a Scouser, you kind of... Probably every Scouse guy must audition to play a Beatle in something maybe like once a year. I don't think I've ever been cast as a Beatle.
It's never too late.
But I've auditioned. Who knows?
There's 4 Beatle biopics coming out.
Oh my God, yeah. Take one of those spots.
Get in any of them. Any way you can be a backup Beatle.
I'm pretty sure one of my friends actually did it. I think.
Really?
I think so. I don't want to commit to saying that on this podcast in case I've got that wrong.
Don't you worry. That's all right.
But yeah, I think one of my friends played a Beatle in that episode, and how brilliant was it? It was just so good.
Mad. It was so silly, the Beatles episode. It was so funny. As soon as they announced they were doing one in that era, I was excited for 2 reasons. 1, Beatles, and 2, they had Cilla Black in it as well, and that was so camp and silly. I mean, God bless it, I love it to pieces, but there was the joke in the episode was that like something had happened to music and music's gone wrong, and
because it was Jinx Monsoon, wasn't it?
It was Jinx episode, yeah, and they cut to Cilla like quote unquote singing badly, and everyone was like, Cilla.
Yeah,
it's just Cilla.
Nothing changed.
Oh my God. But no, I'm glad that you didn't get that purely because I am still willing this revival for your original character to come back.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, actors say the classic phrase when they don't get a job, everything happens for a reason. So maybe it's because we are going to get the spin-off of Clive's son.
I can see it happening.
Can you imagine if... Maybe you already know. Maybe you're just like teasing us now.
I wish.
Can you imagine? You're Andrew Garfielding us.
You're being cool about it. You're like, who knows? Maybe one day, and it's already in the can.
Only time will tell, guys.
Only time will tell.
I'm saying nothing.
No,
what a
keeping it
tease.
stump.
If nothing else, we're going to get you in touch with the Gallifrey Cabaret, and we're going to find you a part in that, at least, I think. Get you down to London.
I want to do this. This sounds right up my street.
It would be...
This sounds very you.
Where is it? Where do they do it?
They have shows at the Clapham Grand for every, like Christmas and Halloween. They do the big shows there. But then they go all around the country. They've done shows in Manchester. They've done shows in Scotland. They're doing shows at Comic-Con coming up. We're having them on the podcast again in a couple of weeks, so when we see them, we'll mention it. But I'm gonna get you back in the Hooniverse some way, somehow, even if it is at the drag show.
Yes. Well, I'm 100% game for this. The next one, get me there.
Absolutely.
Do people go dressed up?
Oh yeah. People go quite big.
Yeah, they do a costume contest. You don't have to go dressed up, but they do a costume contest for everyone going up around the stage, and it is just like the balmiest. We had in the costume contest. Do you remember the trading cards that came out at the time?
Yes.
We had someone come on. Well, I say as if we're the ones hosting it. Someone in their costume contest went on dressed as Jackie Tyler in the pink dressing gown, but with a cutout of the card on their face. It was the funniest thing. I'll see if I can find a photo to show you while we're on the call, but it is the funniest thing.
Should we both go as Clive's son next time and bring a door frame with us as well? And then we can just
please do
open and close it.
I'll go as the wheelie bin.
You go as the wheelie bin. I'll go as Clive's
Well, do you know
son.
what? The wheelie bin, interestingly enough, I'd definitely finished my scene, but they kind of let me just chill and hang out and like watch the filming. And I remember watching that whole sequence with the wheelie bin without any of the, because obviously he had to just like mime all of the, you know, where the plastic's coming off the bin.
Yeah.
So he was just like doing all of that.
Just watching him be like, huh, huh.
But then obviously when you watch the show, they've put in all the plastic and he's like looking at it. And I was kind of watching the episode like, oh, that's what they were doing there. Because I was like, what is this? What is happening?
It's not the kind of thing I can imagine you easily visualizing at the time. Well, we do have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind, sent in by our lovely listeners.
Not at all.
Hamish Steele, friend of the pod, he sent, well, to be fair, you kind of half answered this one. He said, I'd love to know if you knew what Doctor Who was before getting the role. Also, what did you think happened to your character after seeing your dad shot by a mannequin?
That is such a good question. So, yeah, obviously I knew of Doctor Who, and I feel like we spoke about this earlier. I'd kind of watched it on UK TV Gold, and my mum and dad had, like, told me, you know. So I was familiar with it, but especially, like, you know, the Daleks and stuff, the more iconic older episodes, I'd watch bits of it, so I had an idea of what it was.
Yeah.
And what do I think happened to Clive's son after his dad got shot by the dummies? Well, this is why we need the return of Clive's son.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they obviously had a funeral for him and like mourned the loss of their dad. But you know, what do they tell people? How did your dad die? He got shot by shop window dummies.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain that story to someone where it's like, oh yeah, no, my dad got shot by a shop window dummy, but then they fell on the floor and it's all fine now, except my dad's got like.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of sci-fi.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Jade wanted to know, if you could travel anywhere in all of time and space in your TARDIS, where would you go and why?
Right, so, you know what? We were talking about this the other day, and I said, we were talking about the Titanic.
Oh.
And interestingly, the Titanic's mentioned, isn't it, in Rose when Clive's going through those photos and stuff, and Christopher Eccleston's there with that family who he tried to steer away from. There we go. You are a true fan. But I watched Titanic, the movie, the Kate Winslet, Leonardo DiCaprio movie the other day, and I was like, you know what? I would love to time travel to watch them filming the Titanic.
Oh.
The film. Just the film.
Yeah, and then my partner was like, well, would it not make more sense to just go back to the actual Titanic?
No, that feels a bit more dangerous, my love.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd love to travel back to... I love watching a war film. I'd love to just, you know, walk around the streets of London.
Yeah.
You know, when the Blitz was. Because the episode of Who with the gas masks was one of my favourite episodes as well.
Yeah.
So land somewhere that you're guaranteed not to get blown up and just have a wander. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I like that.
And Evan said, I kind of alluded to it, Evan said, remembering your iconic line, can you tell us we're one of those nutters?
Evan, you are one of those nutters.
There you go. Oh my God, bless you. Well,
you made him very happy.
You made him very happy. On Wholala, we like to play a little game towards the end of the episode. Brilliant. Where normally, if we've looked back on an episode, we play a little game called Camp or Damp, where we look back on moments of the episode and we say whether they are camp or whether they are damp. Camp being good, damp being a bit, damp.
Yeah.
Would you like to play the game?
I'd love to.
Well, number 1, Jackie Tyler's flirting. Camp or damp?
Camp. Obsessed.
That was camp with a capital C.
Camp with a K.
Anything Jackie Tyler does there's no dampness when it comes to Jackie.
Yeah, literally. Nothing. Never been damp a day in her life.
Never. And how dare the doctor reject her, by the way?
Honestly, literally, he stood there fresh off a regeneration. Some woman is just there in her dressing gown, like seducing him. I don't know, anything had happened, but it didn't. Sad, but I agree. Camp.
Sorry, Jackie.
The flying plastic hand, camp or damp? One.
Damp. Oh. No one needs a flying plastic hand in the face. We don't like the flying plastic hand.
No, damp.
Damp on that one. And finally, Mickey versus the wheelie bin, camp or damp?
It's gotta be camp.
It's kind of got to be, especially from your side watching it before they added anything. Just in like
the version without effects is very camp.
It is. In fact, I'm going to take my bins out tonight and I am going to do the campus reenactment.
Please send us the video. We'll need the proof.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had a couple of fun facts, which we do at the end of our episode, lined up about your episode, if you are so interested in a couple of fun facts.
I am. Please do share.
So, off the back of the first episode's rating, your episode, the ratings were so good that the second season and the Christmas special were commissioned based off of that episode's ratings alone.
Wow. I
They
didn't
waited
know
like
that.
Yeah.
And that's
they
all
literally-
on you. Your
That's all
delivery
on you.
sealed it.
Well done.
Oh, it is a brilliant episode though, isn't it?
It is good.
It's
It is
such
so
a good way of like reintroducing the Doctor Who that, you know, people probably knew and loved who'd seen because obviously that was series 1 of the new. But
Yeah.
I think hadn't there been like 26 or
Yeah.
27?
Yeah.
You might have
series?
got the number exactly right then. Hold on.
I think you have. I think you're pretending you're not such an active Who fan. I think you know more than you're letting on.
Well,
There are 26 seasons. I had to Google it. I didn't know that. Well done, Adam.
thank you so much.
Fun facts for us.
Fun facts for us. In the original script, so in the bit where the Doctor goes to visit Rose in the Tyler's flat, he sort of opens the cat flap and sees her through there. Originally in the script, he was going to poke his head through the cat flap, but got there and it was too small. Too small for Chris Eccleston's poor head, so they had to just look through one side of it.
Oh,
I feel like that's something you would have checked before
That would have been an
turning up.
insane shot
Yeah.
as well.
And finally, just talking about how impressionable your episode is through the whole season, in that episode, in your episode, the Doctor gives a little speech to Rose about, you know, human life. It's about waking up, eating chips, watching telly. And then in the final episode of your season, Rose says the same speech, which kind of shows her growth into the Doctor character to her mum. She says to Jackie about life can't be all this waking up, eating chips, watching telly, going to bed. And I thought that was quite fun because it really does show, not just for like the season as a whole, but then going forward in the show, it all stems back from your episode. Things link back all the way to Rose.
it's really nice, isn't it? It's cathartic.
It is cathartic.
Very much
Yeah.
that.
Do you look back fondly on it? Do you look back and then like enjoy the experience?
Oh my goodness, yeah, of course. It's just, as I said at the beginning, I do feel so lucky to have been obviously such a small part of something that is so, you know, it's part of like British TV culture, Doctor Who. And, you know, I am so thankful that I got the opportunity to do it. And it's just so nice that it's, you know, even hearing people have took time to send me a question on this podcast is so lovely.
Oh,
So,
no.
you know, thanks for that. That's really nice.
Of course. One thing Doctor Who fans are is engaged.
Engaged.
Yes.
They were gagging that you're here.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless.
We've had, it's funny, we've been doing this podcast long enough that we have quite a few friends who like do stuff within Doctor Who world, and we've had quite a few messages being like, have you got him on? Come on. And we were like, yeah, we did, yeah.
How'd you manage that?
I'd love to know what they thought I was doing with my Wednesday night that I didn't have time for you guys.
Too busy, booked and blessed, and blessed.
Literally.
Bless
No, but
you.
it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you for having me. And thank
You're
you
so
to
welcome.
everyone who was, you know, keen to give some questions and excited to have me on. That's really nice. I'm going to go and conquer my days for the rest of the week knowing that. So thank
Oh,
you.
bless
Aw.
you. No, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. And I know we've got to leave you, but I don't want to leave you with this one fact. You are, I'm not sure if you know this, you are actually the first openly gay actor to ever perform in New Doctor Who.
Really?
You really
Yeah,
are.
You're the first one on screen.
A lot of people sort of attest that to John Barrowman, who was within your season, but you are the first openly gay actor to ever appear in New Who.
Oh,
So
that's
You won.
quite special.
it
Yeah.
is.
But do you know what? Do you know what is really interesting is that when I filmed it, I didn't know my sexuality because I hadn't put a label on it yet. But how nice to, you know, when people kind of like write these letters to their former self. How lovely would it be to go back and tell my 13-year-old self that?
It would be really
Yeah.
special to sort of take a second to be able to let him know, be like, look at you now, look at, and like, especially to the kid who was watching The Wizard of Oz on the couch, to show all the amazing stuff you've done, both with your career in acting, but also with your academy. Like, I think he'd be very proud.
Oh, thank you. That's so lovely of you. Really, I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I feel a bit emotional.
Ah,
Oh, nothing to get you emotional like a Docky Who podcast.
who would have thought it?
Who'd have
Yes.
thought? Oh, bless
Oh.
you. Well, thank you so much for making the time to chat with us. Honestly, it's been such a pleasure. We've really, really
It's
enjoyed
been
chatting
wonderful.
with you.
I could listen to you
Thank
all
you.
day. You're so lovely and chatty. It's great. Honestly, I get lost in your stories and I forget to ask a question.
Oh, bless. Well, I'll come back anytime.
Oh,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
we'll either see you at the next Gallifrey Cabaret or at the next Canto up in Liverpool.
Yes,
see you
we
there.
definitely have to get together in person.
Absolutely, fully. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast, and until the next time.
We'll see you
Take
soon.
care. Bye.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Adam, for coming on Wholala. It does mean so much. And thank you, dear listener, for listening to another episode of the podcast. Next week, we'll be diving into our predictions and thoughts for season 2 ahead of the robot revolution.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be a fully leak-free preview, purely what we think might happen based on things we do not know are going to happen. So only the things we can glean from the trailers and the official previews and stuff, and we'll have a little bit of theorizing. And probably talk about some of the things we'd like to see that won't be in season 2 as well, I imagine.
Exactly. I want a Slovene cameo. I'm saying it now.
I'm saying it now. I'll have it.
I'll have it. Well, thank you again for listening. If you would like to reach out to us ahead of next week's episode, you can do that on all of our social media. We are at Wholala Pod everywhere. That is Blue Sky, X, Instagram, TikTok, and we're also on YouTube at Wholala Pod, where you can rewatch old episodes of the podcast.
Yes, indeed. You can also rate us 5 stars if you love the episode. You can follow us to get notified when new episodes drop. You can buy us a coffee, ko-fi coffee, to buy us a coffee there, /Wholala. And you can share the podcast with someone who you think will really enjoy it. Or maybe they'll hate it, but make them listen anyway. And of course, put it on your story, get it out to your followers, and let them know what a great time you had with us today.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Adam, for coming on the pod, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.